Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm RJ here with Scott. Proud, passionate, relieved Bulls fans. Crazy game, Scott. 3-2 to the mighty Bulls. What an unbelievable contest.
Man, I think I aged about 8 years from the moment Qual came on to the moment the final whistle was blown. I swear to you, I think I've aged significantly.
The decibel levels went through the roof. The hat came off. The shirt somehow stayed on. It was intense. What a cracking game. I'll tell you what, first things first, credit must be given to Mariners. A man down, which we'll comment on, fair call, but they showed plenty of fighting spirit to keep themselves not only in the game, if we're being fair, they had plenty of opportunities to steal all 3 points.
For me, Mariners, RJ, were the team of the second half. The way they just found that belief. And I think that's something they really struggled to find in the first half of the match. And that's for a number of reasons. But the second half, Qual comes on, and it's not all Qual, because the other players had to do their bit too. But Qual comes on, the heads lift, they get that momentum, the 2 penalties in 2 minutes.
Wow, frantic.
At first. But you know what, just before we kind of get into that, what a weekend for the A-League, because you can see the football is well and truly alive in this country. There was a great derby last night. There have been some good crowds. But let's get through this one first. I don't want to get too carried away.
No, 100%. But even before this game, we were entertained to an intriguing clash between Western United, who, again, stole it at the death, against Wellington, who, of course, we struggled with against last week. And there is a synergy between that game, or that opponent, rather, and this one, in the sense of Bulls had an intense press, which in the first half of this game was actually what helped us establish that lead via the Vukovic era, unfortunately, for that Socceroo, who more than deserved his call-up, of course. But the first real test that we've seen was against Wellington. After that hour mark, we all just seemed to drop off in energy levels. The fatigue picked up. And that was really what opened the door up for Mariners in this game.
And this is the yin and the yang with playing an aggressive pressing style of football, which is what you can tell. We've been doing this under Dwight Yorke. He wants us to press from the front, play aggressively. But the problem is then you've got to counter that with either the right substitutions at the right time to counter against that, or you've got to be able to be really gritty and really clever when the fuel tank gets below halfway. So I'm all for the aggressive press. And we saw that come to fruition with Touré's goal. That was the result of a collective press and putting them under pressure. And that was great goal. Not beautiful, but a goal is a goal.
Mate, I loved it. It's beautiful in the sense of it was built on the back of collective effort, everyone knowing their role in that press, because if you do it disjointed, what it does is it creates a fracture, and it allows the opposition to beat you and bypass it and all of a sudden go on their own counter-attacking opportunity. But strangely enough, we saw the red card situation on Lachlan Rose. Obviously, we're Bulls fans. We're going to be biased. He was 25 yards out from goal. He does have the jump on, Kaltak, but he's brought down. It's a clear foul. There was some controversy in the sense, was he far out enough? Was it just a yellow card-worthy offence? We had a similar incident against Sydney the other week. No questions asked. Aspro, gone instantly. So for me, fair call. And it was a tough one for the context of the game, but it's a clear foul, in my opinion. Fair red card.
Look, for me, fair red card as well. I think the key point in that is a Lockie Rose's goal side. Lockie Rose's goal side when the foul's committed. He's got some pace.
And the ball's travelling to the goal.
So I think that's what it comes down to. If they'd been even in line, or Lockie had been behind him, maybe you could see the case in point. But for me, he was goal side. He was denied a one-on-one opportunity with Vukovic. So I had to give that. What about their 2 penalties, RJ? We saw 2 in 2 minutes.
Chaos.
Cummings, the cum dog, obviously had his first one saved by Schumann.
Top save, to be fair.
Yeah, did very, very well. And then Garang Qual stepped up. Now, there was certainly contact for both. I have no issue with either call.
Fair calls.
Qualls, there was that little bit of debate about whether or not it was in the box, but for me, it looked like a pen, and he smashed
But what about the commentary? Like, there was a lot of controversy in the sense of should have Cummings' goal stood after the first penalty was given. To me, it's clear as day. The whistle was blown. The players had stopped. Yeah, it happened moments after. but the whistle was blown. The decision was made. Anything after that moment is null and void. So it's the right call again.
And what do you teach players? You teach players to play the whistle. That whistle sounded, and it's not like it was instantaneous and it happened at the same time.
No, there was a break.
There was a delay between the sounding of the whistle and the scoring of the goal. So for me, I felt the commentary was quite negative to him. We love Simon Hill here. We've had him on the pod a few times. Absolute gentleman and genius. But yeah, I felt you wanted that, not we, but they wanted that underdog story of the team with 10 men, harshly.
Socceroo stars as well.
Yeah,
you can understand that narrative. It makes sense. And look, it makes for a good narrative during the match, of course. But again, fair penalties. They dispatched their second one. I think what frustrated me the most being a Bulls fan is we played so brilliantly up until the red card. We had that situation where we got the man advantage. But then from that point onward, it's as if we went into complacency mode and we're just making assumptions that it was just going to happen for us. Mariners have been good this season. They know they can punish you. In that second half, we started off really strongly. Very nice header from Aspro, of course, from the corner. 2-0 up, cruise control mode. But again, this is something Dwight Yorke is going to need to work with during this World Cup break, because far too often this season, we have shown a certain frailty, a vulnerability in defense, particularly in transition. We lose a fair share, I should say, of some of these duels, and we really need to be better all round defensively.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, but I do think as well it links back to that aggressive press. You're going to fatigue after doing that for 60 minutes. We've just got to be mindful that once that little bit of concrete starts to fall into the legs, you feel yourself slowing down. You've got to work smarter, not harder.
Even your mental fatigue. I think some
100%.
of those decisions where we clearly had that extra man advantage, and
it wasn't clear though. I know you say clearly we did, and we did. But what worried me a little bit was that bit of frailty where we looked like the team that was a man down late in the second half, and they were just peppering us. And on their day, they could have probably put another one in. I think we went too quiet in the attack, and it just seemed to lose that spark.
But the substitutes on face value were sensible, in my opinion. You bring an attacking player like Daniel Arzani, you think with an extra player, more space, direct one-on-one. But it was just a situation where collectively the players seemed to have switched off. It's maybe not a fair term, but we definitely didn't go the next gear when the really good teams, they pounce on these opportunities. You get an extra player, you put the opponent to the sword. We allowed them to have belief. They got the penalty fortuitously or not. They got it. They dispatched it. Then there was a really tidy finish from Qual again, near post. I think we'll be disappointed for conceding from such a tight ankle. Schumann, but he had a really good game.
He did. Overall.
But it was a top effort. Probably could have done better on analysis. But again, 2-2, and all of a sudden the dial had shifted. They gained this massive advantage psychologically. But what I was proud of, and I said it to you during the game, so I'll take a little bit of credit here, I felt we had this goal coming. I didn't know at what moment. I didn't know it was going to be dramatic, but I just felt it. We had this goal coming. And what a dispatch by Drew. You little Drudy. What a top finish that was.
No, absolutely. Look, it should have been a Drew, but he gave us the win.
Absolutely.
Call him Jed Win, because that he came on and he had a really good game on starting debut for the club. I think he'll be really proud of himself. And this gives Dwight Yorke maybe a bit of a selection headache. So good problem to have when players are playing well and you don't know who to start. And that also puts a bit of fear in the opposition. Who am I marking? Who am I up against? Who's going to be running overlaps? So really happy. Look, quickly, what were your initial thoughts on the lineup? We obviously are both massive fans of Daniel Arzani, and I think Curto has probably been our best player this season.
Couple of man of match awards himself.
Yeah. What was your initial thought on the lineup?
Well, I thought I understood the logic more so of having Arzani start off the bench so he could effectively be the equivalent of Qual for us, what he had for the Mariners in terms of being that super sub, injecting his pace, his trickery against a tired defense. Yeah. Obviously didn't quite turn out that way. There were moments, so this is not Arzani didn't play a good game, but he just wasn't as impactful as I think we would have all hoped for. But obviously with Schumann coming in for Curto, I was a little bit taken a bit aback about that decision, but ultimately proved to be a good one because overall he was quite positive. Yep. But some of the substitutions, again, I thought were sensible at the times that they took place. It's just, again, collectively when they go back and do the analysis, they need to identify these points. How much of it is a link to fatigue? how much of it is linked to just complacency and attitude and decision making, because fortuitously now we have this next period of World Cup being on.
Yeah.
Dwight, the team captain, I understand De Villa should be back in time. He will be a massive boost when he comes back.
We're missing him. We're certainly missing him. Just that skill and that technical ability he brings. We don't have that elsewhere in the squad.
Direction as well.
Level. So, and leadership too. Look, it was a great result for the Bulls in the end. Not necessarily a great performance, but a great result. And at the end of the day, all that matters is the 3 points. I think we're both agreeing that Jed Drew, man of the match.
Had to be.
And I think Schumann a close second.
Lockie Rose also played quite well, pressed very well again from the front.
Shout out to all those boys. But look, as we were saying at the start of the show, a big weekend for the A-League. Obviously, a massive derby last night. RBB crowd. And the Cove both doing themselves proud. The scenes from the crowd, the scenes on the pitch, it was scrappy, but that's going to happen in a derby. You're not going to see the greatest football of your life. So
fighting spirit, that's what you want to see. You want to see intensity. You want to see rivalries. You want to see players give all and have some meaning to it. Because that's 100%. What these fans are paying to see. People that actually care, not just say they care.
Diamante winning the game late with that brilliant free kick after they were 2-0 down. Adelaide, we had a great crowd in their match. It's just a good weekend for football. And right on the eve of a World Cup too. If you're new to It's a Football Thing, we're dabbling in our A-League content, certainly more of these match reactions to come. And we will have a full schedule for the FIFA World Cup starting on Thursday evening. So make sure you subscribe, like, share the channel, and we hope to see you back sometime. Let's go, Bulls!